We also would like to give some time in the end to questions. It's a great opportunity to ask questions to therapists, and they are very welcome to answer them. Okay, so let's start. Let's start then. Rosie, maybe I will ask you to tell us how many years you work as a therapist, and maybe in a nutshell, why did you choose that profession?
So can you hear me? Yeah, cool. I've been a therapist for around 7 years, 5 of which have been at Dormy House Hotel. The reason I chose to go into this profession is because I've always really felt a sense of satisfaction from helping people, whether it's helping people feel good from a massage, making them feel more confident from doing an eyebrow tidy. And now that I'm trainer, I also now get to help therapists help their clients even more. Okay.
So I've been in the spa industry for about 7 years now. I have been at the Malvern also for 7 years. The reason that I started my career in therapy was I feel I've always been quite a caring person. I've always enjoyed working with people, and I've enjoyed sort of the interaction that I get from that with the job role. I love performing treatments and giving people kind of the confidence and the sense of well-being that they get from receiving those treatments as well.
Hello. I've been in the spa industry for 17 years. For the last 15 years, I've been working at Zen Spa. And as a young child, I was always painting nails and putting makeup on. And I was really attracted to the beauty therapy course at college. And throughout my career, it has moved away from external beauty and more into wellness. And you know, my passion now is helping to support clients' health and well-being.
Thank you very much. As we know, we have a very high turnover of therapists in the spa industry. And as I said, the therapists are the core of this industry. So we have to start to look a little bit deeper why it's happening. I think generally we go in towards willingness to understand therapist work, and there is more and more understanding and acknowledgement of their work. I was recently asked to be judged in 2 different competitions. One was Massage Championship in Olympia, and second, Shine Your Light, which was organized by Michelle Hammond and Teapot. And this definitely shows that we start to acknowledge therapists' work. So we're not only awarding concepts or buildings, but we start to really award the people. But the turnover is high. So the first question which I will ask my guests today is, what is missing that there is such a high turnover? Tina.
So what I think is missing is in colleges, they need a syllabus that really represents the modern spa. When students come out of college, they're often taken by surprise when coming into work in industry. And I feel, from my experience, that they lack key fundamental skills. You know, things like problem solving, the ability to work under pressure, and lots of other things, thinking on their feet. And so, you know, that is something that I would like to change, to not only focus on the technical ability, but those other skills that are required to be a spa therapist. Understanding the whole guest journey, being able to adapt quickly to your client, to make assessments quickly, to change your behaviour when working with people. Also, understanding life and, you know, how everyday people are affected by that. And then the need to visit a spa as a result of that, you know, to have relaxation, to have time out. Also, I really feel students need to understand more about different types of people and different personalities. And like I said before, how to adapt themselves to that.
Yes. So you're basically saying this is what I understand, that syllabus operate from the very old model of what SPA is. And it's true, because we changed so much and we evolved so much. We are so much towards the wellness, and the syllabus really doesn't represent that. And I know that colleges really struggle with changing that syllabus. Laura, what do you think it's missing?
I feel there is a huge stigma surrounding beauty and spa therapy, that it's a very easy and a very glamorous job. I feel a lot of younger therapists that we see coming through the spa now are sort of undertaking their college course, maybe not quite knowing exactly what they are sort of getting themselves in for. I think a lot of the public's perception of a therapist is that maybe they haven't achieved sort of their desired grades to attend college or university, and they've almost gone to beauty as a fallback. And I feel for many therapists that really isn't the case. There are some really hard-working therapists, very passionate out there in the industry, and I would just love the public's perception of that really to change. I also feel, touching a little on what Tina has just said, that at a college level, I feel there needs to be more of a education on self-care. A lot of therapists are coming into the industry very young, very naive. They're going into really busy spa environments, and they don't know a lot about how to look after themselves and how to protect themselves from that. I feel a knowledge of maybe stretching, kind of posture, more advanced techniques would be really beneficial to be taught more earlier on.
So I think what's missing is management's understanding of the role of a therapist. And this isn't spa managers necessarily, it's people higher up than spa managers, like general managers, owners, the top decision makers. Because a lot of the time I feel that general managers don't actually know how the spa is run day to day or what the therapist is doing. I feel that they sometimes think that the therapist is just there to do the treatments and that's it. But being a therapist is a lot more than that, as we've touched on a little bit.
Yes, it's almost cliche of a general manager who will go to the own hotel, and he would or she would check the quality of the room and the bed or quality of the food, but not very often go to spa and use the spa facilities and really relate to the therapist. And Laura, what you were talking about, the myth of easy job, I think, I don't know what you think about it, so I'm really looking forward to these questions. But I think partly it's happening because we still underestimate the impact which treatment can have on people. That we really think that this is just, touch, pampering, nothing. But this is very transformational. A medium which we have. Touch is transformational, and I think partly we so underestimate the therapist because we underestimate the power of treatments itself. Tina, please, could you tell me, what do you think, in your opinion, managers should be aware of in this situation now?
So the main thing for me that managers and owners need to be aware of is simply that it's a really hard job. You know, it's hard physically and it's hard emotionally as well. And one way that managers and owners can really understand that is to get into therapist shoes. You know, to participate in training sessions that are happening, to experience treatments with their team of therapists, not just one of them, but all of them, and a variety of treatments, to experience other treatments in other spas. So, you know, as we all know, therapists need so much knowledge and so much skill, and that is often understated. And so it's really about trying to be more aware of that.
Yes, can you imagine owners who could join the therapist on the training, how to put nails in the polish nail, or how to give treatment, how to massage the person, just from time to time to be there, to get in their world. Can you imagine what new possibilities it would create for both parties in a way of relating to each other? And you, Laura?
I believe that the key to a successful spa is to have a healthy and a happy team. I think the therapists really are sort of the spa's best assets that they have, and they do need to be cared for. A few things that we've discussed that we feel are important is flexibility in the workplace, flexibility with working hours, and I think acknowledging that therapists have...
Excuse me, when you're saying flexibility in working place, what do you mean by that?
So I think acknowledging that therapists have a private life as well. Obviously, as we are mainly busy at weekends and evenings, and I think as times are changing, therapists are more demanding. They don't want to work sort of 5 weekends in a row. They kind of need that time off and that private family time as well. I think as well, providing working hours in advance, people can plan a life around work, and it's going to give them more flexibility with their private time as well. I also believe that fairness in columns. I think no therapist wants to perform a full day of a deep tissue massage whilst they're watching their colleague kind of do facials and nails. Definitely fairness is important, and it really helps the morale in the team as well, for everyone to be sharing the workload fairly. I also believe that the treatment room is a therapist's place of work, and they need to be able to create a calm environment in there in which they can work happily and effectively from. So things such as heating, lighting, equipment, a treatment couch that is going to raise up and down, and just everything that they need in order to efficiently work throughout their day. We've also discussed the importance of free uniform and training and other elements that really make a huge impact, I think, on an individual in their job role.
I think general managers need to really be aware of the importance of quality versus quantity. A lot of the time you see general managers starting to almost get a little bit greedy. They can see that you've got X amount of treatment rooms which aren't able to be filled because you haven't got enough therapists in that day. So often you'll see them resorting to agency therapists who might not necessarily be trained up to your standards, so they're not going to be giving the best quality that you require. I think it's also really important to put limits on things like spa days, because if you have no limit, you can have, well, depending on the size of the spa, you could almost have hundreds of people in on one day, and the quality is just not going to be as good as if you limit it to a few spa days in on one day. And also, time between treatments for the therapists. I think clean-up time is so important, because not only can the therapist then give the full treatment for their guest, they can also give the best aftercare advice as well. And that's what's going to keep the reputation of the spa.
It's important point, Rosie, because you're talking long-term benefit, financial benefit versus short-term financial benefit. And I think this is the catch-22, that often we invest so much in spas in this first place that, of course, it has to bring money back as soon as possible. And everybody is somehow pushed to their limits, starting from therapist, then spa manager, who has sometimes absolutely not realistic targets to achieve. And there is this client who is coming and wants to have this human experience. So the balance, that it's obviously the art, how to do that, but I think we have to be more aware of that aspect. What do you think, what would make your work easier, Rosie? What would have to happen, what would make it easier?
So I think a lot of the time in spas, there's not usually a very clear career path for a lot of therapists. I think there needs to be more opportunity for growth for the therapists. Sometimes it can get tedious for a therapist to be doing a full day of treatments all day, every day for so many years, and then there's no clear career path really for them. So I think it's important to have regular conversations with your team to see exactly what they're wanting to get from their career.
So what you're saying that therapists can come to SPA as a therapist, that then they may evolve. Because it's such a complex work, actually. When you are a therapist, you develop psychologically, emotionally, intellectually. And you're saying that you are somehow stigmatized, that you're coming as a therapist and this is what is expected from you. Yes, so there is no that conversation which way you can grow. I think it's a very important point, because probably if you don't have that space to grow, there is many chance that you will leave, obviously. Thank you. And you, Laura.
I think a huge issue in the spa industry is staff retention and recruitment. I believe a key way to maintain a quality team is through communication. A clear management structure and an effective operational system, so everybody has a very clear line of what is expected from them. I think quite often miscommunication is present in a lot of spas, and the therapists don't actually have a clear picture of the guidelines and what is expected of them from their job roles. I think passion does begin at management level, and a dedicated manager can ignite the whole team and can have a huge positive effect on a team of therapists when they are being managed correctly. I think the therapists crave a stable environment in the spa. They like to know what they're coming into to work each day and what they're going to expect. And I do also believe that a strong senior team, a senior therapist or a head therapist, can really help to manage the team effectively as well, and often deal with situations before they kind of reach management level, keeping the team happier.
Comment on that, because you're talking about the leadership. So you're talking about the people who are supposed to lead you and inspire you and motivate you. And very often those people, spa managers, are not supported. And this is the problem, that it's a pile. The therapists cannot function really well if they don't have that leadership, if they don't have that clarity. But spa managers also don't receive that support at all. They are under enormous pressure. And this creates very often unnecessary conflict between spa managers and therapists. And very often spa managers are former therapists. And then this is where this drama starts. Thank you. Tina.
So where I work, we focus a lot on training and development, and that's a huge part of therapists' lives. And, that takes a lot of time. And so, for me, it is all about that staff retention that Laura talked upon. So, I don't have to employ new therapists and start from scratch again. So, I feel from my experience that some therapists really do have that passion for it, and it's embedded in who they are and they love it, and you can feel that immediately. And for other therapists, what Laura touched upon before is a fallback career. So for them, it's not so much as part of who they are. It really does take more training, more development, and more mentoring to get them up, for them to get that passion through. But it does come. I really focus on trying to develop therapists in other ways, not just in the technical ways. So trying to work on psychology, advanced anatomy, their human behaviours and how to get that connection with clients. So that comes across in their treatment that they're having.
But would you also agree, you were talking about this therapists who have this natural gift, but do you think that they are also often left alone and take for granted instead of really appreciating them and creating for them the place to grow, because then they burn out very often? Okay. Next question, and this I want to a little bit steer the pot here. So there is this stigma about therapists that they are impossible, that they are difficult, that they have a thin skin, that they're sick all the time, and then they are moody, and that it's impossible to manage them, and that it's just impossible, basically. So I would like you to comment on that, if you agree with that, and what do you think it comes from, Tina?
It's for me, I think it's really important to have one-to-one conversations with people. If you do have a particular team member who is impossible and oversensitive, then to sit down with them and talk and try to find out what's causing that behaviour. It has to be something that's causing it. Maybe they feel undervalued or not motivated, or there's no career path to go to, all of the things that we've discussed. At SPAx, we talk a lot about mental health. So I feel it's really important to make time to have, to connect with every member of your team, not just the ones that are seen more impossible than others, but for everybody, and to take time out in order to do that. And then to set a plan and put things in place where, you can overcome those difficult behaviours, and so that therapist can be a positive member of the team.
And would you agree that indeed it is in the therapist DNA to be sensitive, because this is part of their job? So on one hand, it's their big plus, which can be also their weakness, and you saying that then you need to manage that person. So what I would take from what you're saying is to think about therapists as a very specific personalities, because only these specific personalities can do that job. I was saying on one of my talks, now imagine yourself here, people who are not massage therapists, that you're working as a massage therapist or therapist with people for hours in a very small room, very often with naked strangers in a very intimate relationship over an hour or 2 hours, and an environment. Not everybody is able to do that. Not everybody would like to do that for many years. It's very demanding job. So of course you have to have special set of skills and virtues and traits, psychological traits, to be able to do that. So it has to be recognized. I absolutely agree with you. And Laura?
I don't believe as a whole that therapists are a difficult group to manage. I do feel kind of in any job role that you had, there's always going to be difficult people in the team, not just necessarily within the spa industry. I do think if the therapists are being provided with a happy and healthy working environment, if they are kind of being supported by the manager and having that continuous training and development, if they are still feeling unhappy, I think we need to ask the question, is it actually the spa, or is it the individuals not actually cut out for that job role? I don't think it's necessarily the right job for everybody. And if you're giving them everything that they're asking for and they're still unhappy, I don't necessarily believe that maybe they are in the right job role.
No, I don't agree with the stigma either. I think it almost relates back to the lack of understanding from management a little bit. The thing I'd like to mostly comment on is the sickness. As a therapist myself, if I ever call in sick, I feel so guilty because I know the knock-on effect it has on the team. But unfortunately, it does happen. Therapists are human beings. We get sick as well, and it is unavoidable sometimes. It is a physical job. We're using our physical and emotional energy. And a lot of the time, we are still having to treat clients who come in with, for example, a chest infection or a cold. We're in a confined space with them. We are going to catch it. It's inevitable that we will get ill, so it can't be avoided, really.
Thank you. Let's talk about money now. Okay? So, if we all agree here that the work which you do, it's very valuable and it's complex and it really serves people and helps them to go through at least change in their life, do you think the wages which you receive and generally therapists receive in this industry represent that value and the quality of your work? And if you believe it's not, why do you think it's underpaid job?
Yeah, I do think it is underpaid. I think beauty therapists are one of the lowest paid jobs in the UK from what I read. And so I do agree with you. And the reason is because I said before, we need so much knowledge, so much skill, and we need to be able to make assessments quickly, to be able to adapt quickly, to be able to connect with people. And, in a SPA environment, you don't have long for that. So it's not just about the technical ability, it is about other skills as well, which I don't think are valued.
So you are saying that therapist is not just the technical skill to give the treatment. You need to be psychologist. You need to really have that human connection with people. It's actually quite high complex job to do. And paradoxically, in other industries, that job would be paid much better, because what skills therapists have are usually highly needed skills in any industry, which is ability to relate to people, ability to work fast, ability to make fast decisions, ability to read the client reactions. This is high skilled job. Yes, thank you.
I do agree with Beata that it is definitely a low-paying industry. I do believe that the pay should be kind of reflective on experience as well. Obviously, a therapist that's been in the industry for 10 years has a lot more knowledge, a lot more background, and a lot more training, and I do feel their pay should reflect this. So not all therapists are looking to progress to a management or a senior level, and if they are just wanting to maintain that therapist level, there isn't a lot of progression with pay for them available.
No, I also don't agree that therapists do get paid enough for the work that they are doing. As we've all mentioned, it is a highly skilled job, and I do think that it needs to be reassessed to reflect the work that we are doing. It takes a lot of your mind, emotions, your strength as well. And I think it should be reassessed.
Thank you, Rosie. I think there is kind of paradox here, and I hope you help me to solve that paradox, that on one hand, therapist is really core of this business. We cannot exist with therapists as a SPA industry. On another hand, when there is the financial difficulties, the first who are cut off are therapists. This is first, from extra trainings, from extra promotions, from extra bonuses. And this is something what I still cannot put my head around. I don't know, around, it's good English, sorry. Because it makes no sense to me. If this is the core, if these people make the SPA available possible, how come that they are first pay for any financial problems within the SPA or resort or hotel? And I think therapists agree for that because they really have a passion for their job. They have that deep need for doing their job. So it's a bit easy ride on them from the whole industry, because people know even if I cut their salaries, they will still do the job because they love to help people. But it won't last forever, and those people will burn out and they will leave, and then we will have a problem. So we almost coming to the end, because I really would like to have time for people to ask you questions, and I'm sure there will be questions to you. Tina, if you would send a message out there from this panel, what would be that message?
My message would be to take care of therapists. It's an absolutely amazing job. It is hard physically and emotionally, but it is so rewarding when it's, when you do it. And so to take care of them, to recognize the potential in them, and, to help them grow as therapists, but also as people. The other message is for SPAs to focus on bringing wellness as part of a lifestyle. At the moment, it's still very much seen as a luxury. So bringing that into more of a lifestyle, bringing SPA into that.
Thank you.
I hope that the panel today has helped to give an insight into the mind of a therapist and the workings kind of a therapist within the spa. And I hope that the ideas shared by myself, Tina and Rosie have kind of resonated with people in the room and business owners and managers, and you've been able to relate to issues that you all face kind of in your own businesses and spas as well. And I hope that the ideas that we've shared today will help to create positive and powerful working environments in everyone else's spas as well.
Well, I'd like to give the message that I think every spa worker, whether you're a therapist, manager, director, and so on, should all be thankful to themselves and each other. We can really learn things from each other, but just really thank yourselves for what you are doing. We're the people that people come to when they're stressed. We help people feel comforted and relaxed and nurtured. And I really think that's an amazing thing that we're all doing.
Thank you. The purpose of this panel was not making anybody wrong or confront. The purpose of this panel was just to raise the issues, and I hope it's a first of many. And please contact me through Instagram. I am very happy to talk to you more about it, or maybe create more platform on which therapists could guide us how to do our job better. And now questions. If you have any questions to our guests, please feel free to ask the questions. Yes.
To all the panel, just obviously managers come from different levels, so you can be a manager who's been a therapist and worked their way up the system, or you can be a business person who's come in to manage a spa. In your experience of any managers that you've had, what did you feel was better? I don't mean better, like one would be worse than the other, but what did you feel was better, and in what ways? Does that make sense? Yeah. Yes. Everybody probably will respond to that.
Yeah. So my director at the moment comes from a massage background, so she really understands what that's like, and there's a lot of value placed on therapists where I work. Previously, when I have been under management who hasn't had that spa experience, it is much more, I feel, quantity over quality, which is what Rosie was talking about earlier.
I've also experienced sort of both sides. From my personal experience, I do feel I have benefited more from having a manager that has been a therapist, purely because they, I think, can relate to the team more. Obviously, you need somebody with a great kind of business perspective to run a spa. You need that. But I think to relate to the team and to manage the team at like the therapist level, I do think it definitely pays to have somebody that has actually experienced that for themselves and actually worked within the treatment room.
Well, I've been lucky enough to have managers who have always come from a therapy background, so I feel really lucky that I've been looked after in that aspect, and that my managers have the empathy of a therapist, and they do know how a spa is ran day to day. So I've not really had any experience from just a business manager.
One more question. One. Thank you. One quick one. Yes, please.
Hi. That was a fascinating talk. I'm Beverly from SPAx Studio, and we're spa designers. And I like to think that in our spas, we do really think about your journey as well as the guest journey. But I wondered if there's any extra pointers you could give us that hopefully we thought of them already, but something that would really help in terms of the way the spa is designed that would help your jobs. For example, one thing we try to avoid doing is having long corridors between the pickup points, so you don't have to travel miles and you've got more time to dress the rooms. But is there anything else that you could add to that we might not have thought of?
Okay.
I think that's quite a tricky question to answer. I definitely think the points we touched on earlier about the treatment room being kind of set up specifically for the therapist needs, so things such as sort of ventilation and all the correct things that a therapist needs for the day. Definitely your comment as well about the long corridors. I think anything that creates noise and echoing as well that goes into the treatment room can have a huge effect. But I can't actually think of too many answers to help you, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's important to have that right balance between style and practicality. Obviously, a spa needs to look good, it needs to be attractive and comfortable, but also the practicality of the treatment room, the way it's set up, the design of certain things like manicure stations or pedicure stations. Are they able, is the therapist going to be able to perform their job in a way that they're not getting RSI and other problems? So,
yeah, I was just going to touch on sort of making it quiet is a really big thing. Not walking too far, obviously, from the area. And having a big treatment room, you know, where we massage, we really use our body weight, really go for it. And so having that space to be able to kind of move around the bed is really important.
We need to finish. We are so. If you have more questions, all three therapists are available for the conversation with you. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.